Well, it's 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Monday, July 14th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Joining us here in just a few minutes is going to be Scott Jennings. You see him on CNN all the time. He's got a new show on the Salem Radio Network. He's going to preview it for us. In the meantime, let's go back to the phone lines and continue the conversation we're having. The Denver Post headline: ICE deportations are derailing Colorado criminal prosecutions. What's justice? What Colorado provides to criminals, or just getting them out of this country? Let's go to Ron in Greeley. Good morning, Ron. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Morning, guys. Hey, I'm really curious as to why in the world, not just United States, would the crime not follow that person? You should not be allowed to kill somebody in one country and flee to another country and be fine, or rape, hard crimes, speeding, things, stealing something minor. Yeah, get them out of here, whatever. But as far as a serious crime, why is that?
Part of it has to do with the society that sitting around. Okay, if one country decides that these are their rules and laws, should those rules and laws be enforced by a different society? And what I mean by that, and again, this is an extreme example, not a usual one, but I'm using this only to illustrate the issue, that if someone was held guilty inside of Afghanistan under the Taliban rule of something, we might not necessarily view that as either being a crime nor illegal. And other countries could view similar things. And that's kind of the problem we have, is then you're making our Justice Department have to uphold rules and norms of other countries' justice departments.
We do have that in some capacity. It's called extradition, right? So if you commit a crime here in America that's as heinous, as you pointed out, Rob, if it reaches a certain level, then the country can extradite you back, and they negotiate those extradition terms with the other country, because some countries won't extradite you based upon issues like the death penalty. So if
but that's normally extraditing to the country in which the crime was occurred. So the idea you'd have to commit the crime here and then flee to somewhere else. Then they'd have to bring you back.
And so, you brought it up with George Brockler, Bill, and I think it was appropriate, which is there's going to be a line somewhere, right, where a speeding ticket, deport him. I don't have to prosecute it. Sure, easy. Get him out of here. Murder, sexual assault, that's where I think the line starts to get a little fuzzier. But you have to keep in mind, too, in Colorado, you can sexually assault a minor and get probation. Ron, last word.
You just blew my mind on that last comment. I did not realize that. I am beyond shocked. However, whenever you commit a crime of across the board, you go to Taliban and you go to their beliefs, and that would be a heinous crime, but it wouldn't be here. Murder over there is murder over here. I mean that is a heinous crime. Rape, that's the same thing. So we should have a limit or a number of crimes that I don't care where you go, you are going to be charged. It will follow you no matter what. And what kind of prison do you want to be in? Are you going to be in the prison of, like our prison, a Supermax, or are you going to, because we're too soft on hardened criminals when they go into, when they commit hardened crimes, aren't we? I mean, we're just a little too soft on them. Don't make it a country club for them. Make him pay. Make him do stuff. Isn't that Arizona cop? Didn't he do something? Or sheriff? Didn't he do something like that? Make it tough on people.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right on, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Ron,
thanks,
sure
Ron.
Appreciate it. Ron from Greeley. Phone lines are open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. We got a new show on the Salem Media Network, the Scott Jennings Show. You see him all the time on CNN. He's CNN's outspoken conservative, a powerhouse. trusted GOP strategist, now joining the Salem Media Group. He's going to preview his show with us coming up after News and Comment with Blake Olson. You're not going to want to miss it. Now it's time for News with Mr. Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning. It is 68 degrees. It's Monday. Welcome back to the fellas. And partly cloudy in Denver. Beautiful. Expecting a high of 93 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, more flooding in central Texas. Texas Governor Abbott said water rescues were carried out Sunday in 3 counties and some communities under evacuation orders. 1 person is dead and several others seriously injured from a crash involving a shuttle bus in Denver. A witness tells 9 News 3 people were ejected. The bus was turning left when a truck hit them and spun multiple times. It happened Sunday at Tower and 81st Street near Canopy Airport parking. Tricia McLaughlin, DHS, this morning on Fox News on the raid at the dope farm in California.
Our ICE enforcement officers found 14 children, 10 who were unaccompanied. They were likely being exploited, potential slave or forced labor, potential child and human trafficking. So this is something that is incredibly disturbing. It goes far beyond politics. And not only were there 10 unaccompanied children at that marijuana facility, but we also apprehended 361 illegal aliens with heinous rap sheets that include kidnapping, child molestation, rape, serial burglary, hit and runs. These are no people who should not be in our communities illegally, much less around innocent children, David.
And that's happening all across the country. 47 talking Dan Bongino Sunday.
Oh, I think so. I did. I spoke to him today. Dan Bongino, very good guy. I've known him a long time. I've done his show many, many times. And he sounded terrific, actually. No, I think he's in good shape.
Bongino is good after taking the day off on Friday. Cash and Bondi in place. And according to the Daily Mail, Ghislaine Maxwell is ready to tell the American people the truth about Epstein's client list before Congress. A source told the outlet that Maxwell is happy to sit before Congress and tell her story. No one from the government has ever asked her to share what she knows. She remains the only person to be jailed in connection to Epstein, and she would welcome the chance to tell the public the truth. But to me, despite all the distractions on Friday and over the weekend, this is the biggest story. John Solomon, the DOJ and the FBI are working on a massive case against the deep state.
A program to make it look like Donald Trump's a Russian spy and Vladimir Putin is helping him. President Obama and Brennan knew before the FBI opened up on that information that this was a dirty trick by Hillary Clinton. That would be the first overt act, and then it would carry all the way through Ukraine impeachment. It could go into the FBI refusing to look at the Chinese interference in the 2020 election as one of the overt acts. They didn't want to help Donald Trump, so they ignored a potential counterintelligence threat. It allows for a very large series of events to be wrapped into a single conspiracy and all of them to be brought into the indictment.
At least 9 people are dead and dozens more hurt after a fire burned through a nursing home in Fall River, Massachusetts. The blaze was reported Sunday night at the Gabriel House Assisted Living Facility. Evacuation orders have been lifted after several vegetation fires in Douglas County. The fires were reported near Louvers just after 2 o'clock on Sunday. 1 person is dead following a shooting in Arapahoe County. The shooting happened at a house party on East Crestridge Circle just before midnight on Saturday. A 17-year-old suspect was arrested by deputies following the shooting. 64 in Parker, 65 in Lakewood, 68 in Denver. Jeff and Billy have returned. Billy is injured, but he is playing hurt, which is incredible. And from the Scott Jennings News Network, they have Scott coming up. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast here in Denver on this early Monday. A few passing clouds this morning, temperatures in the middle 60s. Then for the rest of your Monday, looking nice with a 20% chance for showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, highs near 95. Partly cloudy tonight, lows in the lower 60s. Chance for showers and storms on Tuesday, highs near 90. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're glad to have Bill in one piece.
Yes, it was almost several pieces of me being returned. Part of me had to be sewn back together during our during our vacation adventure. I have a tendency to, when I get injured, I do dumb things, and I normally don't do it halfway. It's always something ridiculous. And Gato's coffee is so good. Got to drink Gato's coffee. Okay.
We're drinking their breakfast blend this morning.
So good. It's really, really nice. Its finish is really smooth. It's not very acidic. It's really nice. Okay. So got to check out Cato's Coffee. Go to catoscoffee.com. They're sponsoring the show. And we're having some this morning for the first time. It's fantastic. Okay. Now, here's what I did. Almost lost a finger or two over the course of our vacation, thanks to a circular saw. Now, we'll talk about the story, and there's going to be a little bit of visual help that I'll explain to you as you're listening to this. So I'm trying to cut an opening in a closet door so that the cats can use the closet as their cat box. So I need to cut an opening. Got the circular saw out. Familiar with how the circular saw works. Been using it and, unplug it and plug it when you're doing things. Well, I needed to change this specific saw blade because I needed a finer tune on this part of the cut. So I needed to change it, and I can't get the saw blade off with the key. For whatever reason, I'm an idiot, and I did not unplug it. Yes, that's an important plot point that we're going to talk about here just in a second. I'm balancing it on the concrete, trying to get it to sit still, and I can't get it. And so to get some more leverage, I got my left hand, so my right hand's on the key, and I've got my left hand on the top of the saw, and I'm holding on to it, and that's when the ring finger on my left hand touches the power button. Well, the saw jumps to life. Luckily, nothing is in front of the saw blade. However, the key that you use, it looks like that giant Allen wrench that's, really more like a big cross, spins very, very quickly and slices through the webbing between my first and second fingers on my right hand, index and your ring in your middle finger. So what I want you to do is, if you're listening to this story, take your hand, spread it out, and reach down and pinch that webbing that's there between the two fingers, because there's not a lot of stuff behind there.
Nope.
And that's where this gets weird, is I went all the way through all of those layers of skin and touched nothing else, which is remarkable. So I go to 2 medical facilities before ending up in the emergency room, because neither of the other medical facilities like, I'm not touching this. That's way too deep. This is how did you do this? What is wrong with you? Those are the questions that I received. And so eventually I now have about a dozen stitches that sit between the webbing and around the back end of my index finger on my right hand, putting it back together. But after it slit the skin open, it was just open, and there's a lot of nothingness there. You could have taken a brand new pencil and slid the entire eraser and some of that metal collar at the top down into my hand and still had some extra room. I mean, it's incredibly deep, and there's muscles, tissues, tendons. I can see my tendons down there as they move, and the doctor is fascinated that I only slit the skin. And he's going through this, and he's testing my nerves on both fingers, and he's like, you can feel that. You can feel that. Really? You get movement? Really? That's wow, okay. And they get in there and they start cleaning it out. And they said it was remarkable because it's fractions of inches either way and it chews
Meters.
into the muscle and the bone on my hand, and you have a whole ton of nerves that sit right between those two knuckles. If it was a little bit deeper, I wouldn't be able to move part of my hand anymore. If it went a little bit more to one way or the other, I would have lost movement in some of my fingers. He's like, you are so close to getting right near some important nerves and ligaments. He's like, if your hand was at a different angle, you would have lost movement in one or two of your fingers, if not portions of your entire hand. And the fact that there's no even debris in there, he's like, there's nothing. He's like, when they washed it out, they said there's not any metal flakes, there's no wood chips, there's not dust, there's nothing in here. They said this is the most non-traumatic saw injury that they've ever seen. So I've got 12 stitches that run between the webbing between my first and second fingers, and it looked awful. And here's the crazy part: because the cut's jagged, it looks like a lightning bolt kind of a thing. But because it was so quick and how it went through, there wasn't even a lot of blood because I didn't touch anything that likes to bleed. So I didn't have a lot of blood. I just had this open hole. But this is the best part. I go into urgent care first because I'm not going to the emergency room. I go there and she's like, and I say, what's a saw injury? And they go, ooh. I'm like, no, I didn't cut anything off. They go, okay, let's take a look at it. And when she looks at it, she goes, oh, yeah, I'm not touching this. I'm like, what? No, can't we just sew the... No. She goes, no, I can't. Do you know how deep this is? I'm like, but we can't just... No, not doing it. So I went to another place and they're like, no, not doing this. I'm like, damn it. So I had to go to the emergency room, and the doctor that I got to, he's like, ooh, I love sutures. He goes, I can make this thing look really good. He goes, you've really done it. And so while he's doing this, he's telling me, you really did. This is, oh, wow, look at that. Look at this. Yeah. So he was fascinated by the fact that I did this, and he said it's the most unusual and non-traumatic saw injury he's ever had. And I said, that's kind of what I do. And I started running down a list of odd injuries that I have, and he's like, yeah, you do weird stuff. I've broken things and done things that don't happen normally. Like I've dislocated my collarbone. Who does that? My collarbone's no longer attached to my sternum, but that's because of a weird injury I have. So I have a series of those. And after I got to the third one, he's like, yeah, you do weird stuff. But yeah, so I'm sitting there, and the best part though is every time you walk in, I got immediate attention in the emergency room because I walked in and went, yeah, I've had a problem with a saw blade. And they went, oh, saw blade, here, sit, here, sir. And then once they saw there wasn't a lot of blood, nothing was cut off, I had to sit in the room for a while alone. So they didn't actually get to me as an emergency.
I think Tony sums it up for everyone. 1,000 notes to Bill's story of near dismemberment. Glad you're okay, but I'm trying to enjoy my breakfast.
I know. It was so close to me not being able to move either one of my fingers, if not even part of my hand. The bundle of nerves that I found out that is there between the knuckles, oh my Lord, that would have been just awful. So I got so lucky. Yeah.
It's kind of entertaining the amount of, I guess, trust we put into critical care centers.
Oh, completely.
When they're located next to like wireless cell phone.
Oh yeah. It's
strip
like
mall
go
stores
next to a T-Mobile, and I'm like, yeah. And I walked in there, and the thing
I'm gonna go to that place to put my body back together.
And when I'm looking at it, and I'm like, can you? And she's like, I really don't trust myself to do it. And I sat there, and I thought about pushing her. Oh, come on, you can do it. And I went, wait a minute. When the medical professional is telling you, I don't feel comfortable doing this, maybe you don't encourage them to do it anyway. Maybe you should be smarter than this, you dumbass. You've already done one stupid thing today. How about we don't do a second stupid thing and tell her to go ahead and sew you up? So, yeah, I went to the smart people, and they did a good job. He did a great job, the doctor that I saw at the Aurora Medical Center. This is the crazy thing there, though. I went to Aurora Medical Center. I hadn't been there in 30-plus years. They had the address they had for me was the very first place I lived after getting married. That's how long ago it was. It was crazy. And they asked me, do you still work for J-Corp Broadcasting? I'm like, that doesn't exist anymore. I go, that's like 2 companies ago before I get to iHeart. Like, that's how long ago it was. But it was nice that it's been at least 3 decades since I've injured myself enough to go to that specific emergency room. There are a couple other emergency rooms I've been to, but not that one. Not that one for 30 years. So it's kind of nice.
Glad you're okay.
I have all my fingers. They don't move exactly
Praise
well.
God.
Yeah, it was
Praise
great.
God.
I get so lucky.
All right. Well, let's talk advanced hair restoration. Look, summer is a time to feel and look your best, but I'm not talking about your abs or tan. Guys, I'm talking about your hair. Restore that bald spot, reverse your receding hairline, or add volume to thinning during Advanced Hair's once yearly summer savings event. Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day, and they guarantee your new hair will grow. There's absolutely no one I trust more than Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar. Advanced Hair's summer sales event is on for a limited time, so get the details and schedule your free consultation today. 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR, one-day treatment, life-changing results with Advanced Hair. Your new hair is guaranteed to grow. So check out the incredible before and afters and take advantage of their best offer ever. That's 720-459 or advancedhair.com, 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com, advancedhair.com. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Scott Jennings is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. But, Bill, I wanted to get your take on this. Yeah. The Club World Cup, which is apparently, I don't know, you guys in soccer have like 15 different world championships.
This was a stupid one. I mean, just personally, this is a dumb one. But here, go ahead. We'll talk about why and stuff. Yeah.
Chelsea wins the Club World Cup trophy. Apparently, it's in America now.
I'll explain it. Yeah.
Help me understand all this. But from what I understand, Donald Trump is supposed to hand the World Cup trophy to Chelsea and then get off, doesn't, and ends up on the stage while they all dance around and celebrate. And I thought it was fantastic. But you're the soccer guy. Yeah. I don't even know. I mean, you win the Lombardi Trophy. The president's not standing there. Maybe he should, but
no, he shouldn't.
Go ahead.
That was awkward. And I mean, again, the thing that I saw in a lot of liberal spheres were just like the idea of when Joe Biden had to be escorted off stage. That's what they were referencing. That Donald Trump doesn't know he shouldn't be here. That he is obtuse enough to not understand the moment or the fact that someone comes over and tries to escort him off and he doesn't understand what's going on. So there was a lot of people making fun of him, the fact that he didn't understand. It was like, the Sesame Street thing. One of these things is not like the others. Is a lot of that.
But you had the President of the United States at this Club World Cup.
So, again, President
he's elevating the game. You have the President of the United States attending. Yes, of course.
No, he's not.
And he's up there celebrating with all the guys, having fun. He's one of the guys.
He got booed very loudly.
He was not booed.
Yes, he was very loudly.
No, I saw the video.
I watched the game.
He was not
booed loudly.
You guys turned every cheer into a boo.
No, he was booed loudly
so
during the show.
Explain where this was, because I didn't
it was in New Jersey. The issue is basically, and there's some positives and negatives to this. One, this is just a money grab by FIFA. FIFA's tired of, it's just they want more tournaments. They're burning the players out. This is a dry run for the World Cup next year. That's kind of what this was, to look at execution and venues, especially because of the heat. They've now decided they are going to put a number of the games inside of domes because of the heat issues. The World Cup final will be held in that same MetLife Stadium in New Jersey next year. So again, this was a dry run. There is no reason for it to be here. FIFA got mad that during the summer months when they were supposed to be off, teams were going around and touring, and I'm using touring in air quotes. They would go to countries and hold mini friendly exhibitions. They'll still do some of those, but they made a lot of money doing that. And FIFA went, we like money too. Can we have some of the monies? So they decided to create this BS tournament. That's been kind of like a throwaway stupid thing for the last few years, where they bring in some random clubs and create a fake tournament and then crown someone the club champion, and it's dumb as hell. And now FIFA just decided to brand it because they want in on the action and they want the money, and they understand bribery is a really wonderful income source. Again, I am a huge soccer fan, but I understand that FIFA is the most corrupt sporting body on the planet. Nobody's even close. You think boxing was corrupt back in the day? They wish they could do what FIFA can do based on bribery and corruption.
Tony says you're just mad because Chelsea rules. Go Blue!
The thing is, it's nice to have the EPL win. I was surprised that PSG fell apart. I didn't have a dog in the fight. I wanted to see how they came at each other. I was really curious to see how João Pedro blended into the attack of Chelsea. What was Cole Palmer's role going to be? And then also how the press coming from Paris Saint-Germain was going to be. And Chelsea did a remarkable job. They played an amazing 45 minutes of football and or soccer in the first half, went up 3-0, and then just kind of parked the bus. Yeah, they still attacked, but PSG looked very, very Paris-like. They seemed confused. I don't know what was going on with Vitinha, their center midfielder. But yeah, good on Chelsea. Good on Chelsea for taking the 3 and denying Paris. That was the only final they were in this year out of 4 that they did not win. So good job on Chelsea. Fantastic representation for the Premier League. I think the speed of the Premier League helped them a little bit, but Donald Trump should not have been up there dancing around. And if you go back and you look at it, he looks like a doofus because he doesn't know what's going on.
Bill, nobody cares about soccer. It's the most boring sport. Americans tune it out. You should be thanking Donald Trump for, out of all the things he has to do, taking time to go and present the trophy, elevating the sport of soccer here in America, preparing it for the World Cup next year. It was an act of tremendous generosity on behalf of the President of the United States, and you should be thanking him for the publicity that the sport is getting as a result of it.
The issue is the publicity is that they're making fun of us. They're like, look, this guy doesn't know what goes on. Again, it's the larger soccer world is looking at this going, just another dumb American. Good job, dumb Americans. Yeah, he has solidified.
This is why no one likes soccer.
He has solidified the dumb American role.
You should be thanking Donald Trump because soccer's are players are a bunch of soccer fans are a bunch of elitists who think that they somehow found a sport that Americans aren't intelligent enough to. It's like cricket. It's like cricket.
I know soccer is the most popular sport on the planet.
No, it is a boring sport. Again, that has no energy and excitement, and Donald Trump elevated it. Thank God Donald Trump took time to go.
More people will watch. More people will watch the finals of the World Cup in New Jersey next year than watch the finals of our NFL.
How about Americans?
The Super Bowl.
How about Americans?
I'm just talking about number of people. It's the most popular sport on the planet. That's okay. That's it.
How about Americans?
We don't have to watch it. No, not the most popular one in America.
That's exactly right.
So
and you got Americans paying attention to soccer because of Donald Trump.
No, not at all. They paid attention because it was Chelsea and PSG. That's why people paid attention.
They can't even tell you that. They don't even know where those clubs are. They don't even know what country those clubs are in.
No, yeah, they do.
Donald Trump.
Well, we got a guest coming.
Elevating it. All right. Speaking of debate between the two teams, this guy debates progressives better than anybody else I've ever seen. And to have him now on the Salem Radio Network is a gift to the entire country. His show launches today. Ladies and gentlemen, he's with the Jeff and Bill Show, Scott Jennings. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. I love this enthusiasm. I hope I'm as excited as you are about launching this show. This is amazing. It's great to be with you all.
We're so thrilled to have you. Thank you for elevating this show, first of all. But Scott Jennings, you're regular on CNN. You're the outspoken conservative powerhouse and trusted GOP strategist, and you're now joining the Salem Media Group. Tell us about your show.
Well, we launched this afternoon. I've got a couple of amazing guests today to get us going. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is going to join us for a long interview. But then last night I was texting with the House Oversight Committee Chairman Jamie Comer about this blockbuster story in the New York Times about the Biden pardons and the use of the auto pen and whatnot. He's going to come on and kind of give us the absolute breaking news latest on what the Republicans are going to do about holding Joe Biden and his White House and administration accountable. So a couple of great guests today. We're going to do that every day, most every day, have a nice guest, take some calls. I may invite a Democrat on to debate an issue or two along the way. But I'm just trying to deliver common sense for the American people, a continuation of what you see me trying to do on CNN. That's the goal.
And we all love to see it because a lot of times those progressive media outlets, and I put CNN in the progressive media outlet world because they're up there with MSNBC. Talk to us about how you kind of became a regular on CNN, and you've actually made CNN worth watching at this point. You're the only one on there that's worth following and watching because you confront their narratives so well, and oftentimes you kind of leave them stumped. So talk to us about how you became a regular on CNN.
Well, I've been with the network for a few years, but, it's been a little uneven, and by that I mean, I've had periods of time where, I wasn't on as often, or, during the COVID period, we were doing very little political analysis, so I was not on that much. But it really took off for me about a year ago during the campaign. And CNN decided, and I think to their credit, that A, they needed to give half the country a voice in how the campaign was being covered, and B, they created about a year ago this debating show that you referenced, the 10 o'clock debating show, and I think it's the only show like it on television because we're actually giving conservatives a chance to fight back against the narratives on what you said is a progressive platform. I agree. I mean, most of the shows are framed that way, and here they say, okay, we're going to have a show and give a conservative a chance to fight back. I jumped at the chance to do that, and now it's one of our best-rated shows. Everywhere I go, people tell me, we want the debates. it's a country founded on debate. It's good for us to have a debating show. So I think CNN's done a smart thing here. And that's really how it happened. The opportunity came along. I grabbed it because I knew you go into their space and you fight them on their ground and you win. That's an invaluable thing to be able to do.
Well, and to your point, they created space for you to do that. We find that so much of the progressive media outlets don't want to even provide a spot for conservatives to be able to provide their perspective. They want to shut it down, but to, as you pointed out, CNN allowed that. And you're on a show that does that here in Denver, and probably we're one of the only shows in Salem that does this, where Bill is more of an independent-minded person, former Republican. I'm a MAGA conservative, and we debate. Just before you got on here, we were even debating Trump at the World Cup soccer thing that happened over the weekend. And I thought it was great because Trump's elevating a game that no one pays attention to in America in the first place. And Bill pointing out that soccer is the most popular sport in America.
Yeah,
in the world.
He just reinforced the dumb American trope for all soccer fans around the world.
So I'm gonna go ahead and weigh in with a hot take here. It's the first thing Trump has done that I'm not really into, this soccer business. So we'll see what today holds. Maybe there'll be new announcements today to wipe this memory from my from my mind. I mean, come on, guys, soccer.
Most popular sport on the planet. More people watch the World Cup finals than watch the Super Bowl. That's okay.
You can see we're already into the debate. But Scott, what I love about what you guys do is look, there's always been a debate element on like public radio stuff. You know, like PBS used to have kind of back and forth, but it was boring. C-SPAN has it. It's boring. You bring an element of entertainment to the debate on your shows that I think people really appreciate. Talk about that.
Well, here's the thing. It's television, so people are going to have to watch it. And, watching it doesn't just mean, like some nerd reading off the talking points you were handed. It's television. You have to be able to make it entertaining and creative. Also, you have to be able to laugh and smile a little bit. And if I had any advice for my sparring partners, it's that, they need to take it a little less seriously. I run into a lot of angry people these days. They're not over having lost the November election, and that's okay. But I think in these debates, I learned this from years ago when I was a kid. I was a board op at a radio station, and I listened to hours of Rush Limbaugh every day. And the one thing I learned from Rush, do it with a smile on your face. Do it with a little humor, a little good nature. And I think in debating, that goes a very long way. So, for television purposes, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm forceful and I make my points, but you got to laugh a little and you got to make it watchable. And CNN, I think, has created a space for me to do that, and it's really working. I hear Republicans all the time telling me, I'm watching CNN again. I love the 10 o'clock show. I love the clips. And so, for the network, I think they're learning. There's a whole audience out there of people that want to watch a debate, and a lot of them are Republicans.
That's Scott Jennings. Scott is on CNN regularly. He's launching a new show on the Salem Radio Network. It starts today. It's going to be on from noon to 1 here in Colorado, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, but noon to 1 here in Colorado. A bold voice for conservative talk. Scott Jennings, 710 KNUS. Are you proud to join a lineup that includes Larry Elder and Charlie Kirk and Mark Levin, and formerly we had Dennis Prager on, but you're part of a stable here with Salem that is the best conservative thought in the country. Talk about that.
Oh my gosh, it is such an honor. And having come from radio when I was young, to come back to it now is an honor, and to do it with the legends that you just rattled off, and to be on stations like yours in Denver. I mean, look, I think conservative talk radio has always been the agenda setter for the conservative movement. Going back to Rush and now all the heirs to Rush. And there's a lot of great conservative talk guys all over the country, and a lot of them work for Salem. And we're talking directly to the people every single day. And, I think we're often feeling what people are sensing before anyone else. And I think we're in a unique position to help set the agenda before anyone else. And so it's an honor to be part of the medium, and to do it in this company. I mean, they're doing it better than anybody. The shows are terrific. I saw Charlie at Turning Point USA in Tampa on Saturday. He was nice enough to invite me to that. And he was, just as gracious as he could be. I'm coming on after Charlie and before Hugh Hewitt, who, Hugh's a legend. I've revered Hugh both on the radio and in his writing for years and years and years. I mean, these are the most creative, insightful guys in the movement, and to be sandwiched in between them on these amazing radio stations all over the country, it's a dream come true.
That's Scott Jennings. You know him from CNN. He is joining the Salem radio family. Is going to soon hopefully find a place here on KNUS. As you heard him sandwiched between Charlie Kirk and Hugh Hewitt. Okay, this is always asked of us, Mr. Jennings. The other people that you sit around that table with, when the cameras go off, when the red light dims, do you guys get up and start punching each other, or is it more friendly? And I ask that because people are very surprised here on the show that even though Jeff and I go at each other every day, we're friends. This always ends, with friendly, and we're not mad at each other at the end of the show. Are you able to do the same thing, or do you guys take it out to the parking lot?
No, no, we're a family. I mean, I view my job and the CNN community as a family, and we have heated debates, but you can't take it personally. And when it's over, it's over. And we do maintain great relationships off the air. My two best friends at the network, actually, people are surprised to learn, are David Axelrod and Van Jones, who I think are the two smartest, toughest debaters we have. And they often tell hard truths to their side, which I admire greatly. But we spend a lot of time together, and we get to know each other as people, and we open our hearts and our ears to each other before we open our mouths, which is a good rule for life, not just for punditry. But it is a bit of a family. Now, we've had some guests on who've gotten in a bit of a snit and didn't enjoy the outcome of the debate. But for the most part, it's very collegial. It's a community. It's a family, and I'm glad to be part of it, too.
That's Scott Jennings. Scott's new show launches today. It's going to be on at noon, 710 KNUS. Scott, you're working with Democrats on a regular basis. You see them, you debate them, all that stuff. In Colorado, we're in a kind of unique position because if you remember that big study that came out from the New York Times, every county, every state went a little bit more red. Colorado went more blue. We're getting more progressive in this state. They are positioning themselves as kind of anti-Trump. The attorney general here brags about how many lawsuits, I think we're over 20 at this point, challenging the Trump administration. But Democrats nationally seem to be lost. They seem to be trying to figure out and grasp at straws as to where they're going to go in the midterms. Give us a sense of, from your perspective, where Democrats are nationally. Are they kind of going more towards Bernie Sanders, AOC, more the socialist wing that we're seeing in New York, or are they going to moderate a little bit and try to appeal more to the populists that Donald Trump was able to win in the last election? Give us your perspective.
Well, I think mess is the right word. They don't really have a direction. One of the dumbest things they ever did was make the center of their party's platform, if Donald Trump is for it, I'm against it. That's it. That is effectively the one and only rule for setting policy in the Democratic Party. And unfortunately, a lot of things that Trump is for them, are 80-20 issues, whether it's closing the border or getting boys out of girls' sports. I mean, time and again, Trump does things that are objectively very popular, and they reflexively oppose it. It's killing their brand. So that's problem A. Problem B is that the energy in their party is centered on these radicals. Jasmine Crockett might as well be the head of the Democratic Party. She's the most visible Democrat in America. And she's a radical, and she's ridiculous, and it's hurting every Democrat on every ballot in every state. They've nominated a socialist, communist, Marxist for mayor in New York City. This is going to taint every Democrat there and across the country. I talked to a Democrat member of Congress the other night on the air who has not endorsed Mom Donnie. And I said, why not? And he said, well, if you can't globalize the Intifada, I don't know how I can endorse you. Even they know it's a brand killer, but that's where the energy in their party is. It's behind people who are so far outside the mainstream that in middle America, in most jurisdictions, it just simply wouldn't be viable. So I think turning themselves into a hateful party that only is centered on Trump and allowing the energy in their party to flow from the communist socialist left, it's a brand killer if you're trying to run for office anywhere outside of the bluest areas. And I think they're going to learn a tough lesson next November, that the stuff as Trump is doing, pretty common sense and pretty popular, and radicalism is not.
That's Scott Jennings. You know him on CNN, now joining the Salem radio family. You're going to be able to listen to his show here on 710 KNUS and also be able to see him on the Salem News Channel. He's going to be between Charlie Kirk and Hugh Hewitt. Got a question for you about Mondani, the New York City mayoral candidate. Could he possibly be adopting some of Donald Trump's populism? And what I mean is, I feel your economic pain. I am going to do X, Y, and Z in order to make life easier for you. I'm going to make sure that your 2 nickels go further. That message was somewhat underlying the economic message of Donald Trump. Now, while it comes from a socialist perspective, is he just using the same populist message to candy coat the socialism, and is that the reason it has traction? Your opinion?
My opinion is, if you look at the people who voted for Mamdani, if you look at the New York Times polling after the election, it wasn't the working class. That message you laid out is why Donald Trump won the working class of America. But it wasn't the working class in New York who voted for Mamdani. They went for Cuomo. It was the richest, wealthiest, most liberal white people that went for Mamdani. These rich white liberals in New York City, they're the ones who delivered the primary to him. They're not out for populism. They're out for radicalism. They've been brainwashed by the Free Palestine movement. They've been brainwashed by the anti-Semitism of the left. That's why Mamdani won the primary. So I think Democrats want to re-engineer this and try to say, well, it was actually a message about affordability. No way. Look at who voted for the guy. And by the way, the people who are his biggest supporters, they're the only ones who can afford to leave when he destroys the city. They can get out. They can leave anytime they want. They got plenty of money. But the working class, who I think ultimately suffers under these socialist regimes, they'll be stuck there forever. You know, they're the ones who get hurt when you defund the police. They're the ones that get hurt when you empty the jails. They're the ones that get hurt when you platform radicalism. It's working class neighborhoods. So I think that the Democratic re-engineering of this narrative is an interesting attempt, but it's just not true.
Were the majority of his voters from that rich liberal class?
Yes. If you look at the New York Times post-election analysis, he overwhelmingly won people with the highest incomes, and Cuomo won the people with the lowest incomes. Cuomo also won African-American voters. And
yeah,
so
but based on the percentages, though, does that then lead us to believe that the majority of the people that are voting inside of the New York metro area are of that richer persuasion rather than the working class?
Well, it was a low. I mean, based on population in New York City, I mean, it's a relatively low percentage of Democrats that voted and a low percentage of the population overall. I'm just telling you, the biggest part of his coalition, the group of people that he won the biggest vote from by percentage, were the richest, whitest people from the richest, whitest neighborhoods. It's kind of funny to me when he says he's going to have a taxation system in New York City based on race. And the people, I assume the people he's talking about are the people who voted for them. I'm not sure if they read that part of the platform yet, but buckle up. Your taxes are fixing to go up. I mean, the things he says are objectively crazy. I mean, he's also saying he's not going to allow federal law enforcement agents to enforce federal immigration law in New York City. Do you think that helps or hurts the working class neighborhoods of New York? Of course it hurts them. And so I think the message here is totally upside down. But let's not sugarcoat a lot of this. The beating heart of that movement is the anti-Israel, anti-Semitism that flows right out of the Democrat socialist platform up there. They're trying to have primaries against Richie Torres and Dan Goldman and other congressmen from New York. Why? Because they support Israel. So this anti-Semitism, this radicalism, this Free Palestine domestic terror organization, that's actually really who loves candidates like Mamdani. And unfortunately, a lot of these rich white liberals have bought into it. And that's, in a nutshell, why the Democratic Party has a massive branding problem in places that aren't super blue.
That's Scott Jennings. He's the new voice on the Salem Radio Network. You can hear him today starting on 710 KNUS at noon. You can go to his website, scottjenningsshow.com, scottjenningsshow.com. He's a regular on CNN, and now he's going to be a regular on 710 KNUS. Scott, so grateful to have you join us this morning. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate your confidence in it. Get your lunch today and get your radio and listen to Scott Jennings in Denver. That's my message, and I appreciate you very much for promoting it. We're going to have a great time.
Absolutely. Hope to have you back as well, Scott. Keep up the great work, my friend. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Great conversation with Scott Jennings.
Yeah,
Billy
really
giving
cool.
him a little bit of the debate treatment.
Yeah, it was good though.
He's
That
now
was good.
part of the family, so Bill
No,
wasn't.
yeah. So I'm not gonna. We're not gonna go very hard. And it's not. He doesn't know what he's walking into here, and he has a show later today that he has to do. So it's like that's not very fun. But I just wanted to go back and forth a little bit with him, and he was great. He's really good, and I'm excited that he's part of the family. This is really cool.
In the Free Press has a great article on the voting base of Mondami, and in part, both of you are kind of right. So. Jennings is exactly right. The working class is not going for Mondami.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yep.
But the uber wealthy is not going for him either. It's this middle ground of basically people that make 100 to 200,000 in New York.
Yeah.
And the Free Press writes about how those people are typically between 25 and 35, college educated, working very hard, and they're not making it. And I remember this. I remember that being in that same position when I lived in Washington, D.C., we were there for about 6 years, and around your mid-30s, you come to a decision point. You're either going to put your head down and you're going to work 80 hours a week as a lobbyist. You're going to sacrifice your family. It's going to be all job, all the time, 100% in order to make it in that city.
Yeah. And by make it, you just mean have a house and raise a family and be able to live there.
But
not
but
walk
making
around
it in
and
those
driving a
cities is
Bugatti.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very tough.
Yeah.
And or you go, you know what, I'm just not going to do this, and I'm going to go spend time coaching my kids soccer, which is the decision we wanted to. And I'm very happy with the decision. I'm thrilled with it. I love the life we lived. But if you're 30 and you're having to work 80 hours a week in Manhattan and all that stuff, so yeah, did Mondami appeal to them? 100%. He did.
Yeah. For me, it's the idea, and I've had this conversation with a number of people that are in the 20s and 30s, and you and I have had this conversation off air, is they don't feel that the American dream is achievable. They believe that there are blockades that have been placed in their way that prevent their mobility. And what they're finding is, we were told when we grow up, go to school, get a good degree. And these aren't people that are coming out with degrees in like underwater basket weaving or Native American studies. Yeah, they're coming out in engineering. They come out in finance. They're coming out in what you would say are very marketable degrees. Yet despite a 40-hour week job and some overtime, they can't afford their own home, more or less an apartment without roommates. And they can't even think about getting a new car. So they're looking at, why am I following the path if I'm not going to be able to achieve? So they're looking for another story.
All right, coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, Danielle Jurinsky is going to join us. Always a firecracker. We're going to have a lot of fun. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is KNUS.